All right, we're gonna start with some arm circles. We're gonna spin our arms in small circles, reversing direction every once in a while, changing the size from bigger to smaller. You can play with the different angles of your hands. Make sure you're keeping your core tight, your glutes squeezed. Big circles, and the other direction. Now you can go ahead and move your arms in opposite directions, kind of like a windmill. I like this because it really feels like it loosens up my shoulders. And you can do it swinging your arms very loosely or swinging your arms slow and controlled. It's up to you. There's benefits in both. And it's okay to explore with some other directions. All right, bring your feet together, arms over your head, reach for the sky, keeping your spine nice and tall, remembering to breathe. Reach for the sky, lean over to the side. Back to center, over to the side. We're keeping our core tight and our glutes squeezed. We're trying not to sway front or back, but just strictly over to the side. All right, and go ahead and reach for your toes. Slide our hands on down to the top of our shins, taking a couple breaths, walking our hands out in front of us. All right, we're going to move into plank, keeping our core tight, glutes squeezed, making sure to breathe. We want to keep that stomach sucked into our spine. We go ahead, let our hips sink, look up to the sky. And flow back. Walk your hands back. Come up, vertebrae. And we're going to reach overhead. Making sure to breathe, keeping our core tight, glutes squeezed. And we're going to go ahead and reach between our shoulder blades. And with the opposite hand, we're just going to gently pull the elbow in towards the head, or the center of the body. All right, go ahead and release. Opposite hand reaches between the shoulder blades, making sure to breathe. Other hand comes to the elbow, gently pulls toward the midline of the body. All right, release your hands, bring them up over your top of your head. Let them float down in front of you. Let them come right over your knees. And this is forward fold. Right, go ahead and just take a couple breaths, explore our range of motion, letting our hands float down our legs so they meet the floor. Walk your hands out in front of you and press into downward dog. And feel that nice stretch in your back and your calves, hamstrings, keeping your core tight. And walk your hands out in front. move into high plank. Keeping our spine straight, glutes squeezed, core tight. And we're gonna let our hips sink, look up towards the sky. Feeling that nice stretch in our hip flexors, in our abs. And go ahead and walk back. And come up vertebrae by vertebrae. Go ahead and bring your hands over your head. Hinge over to the side, back to center, over to the other side, back to center. Just kind of flow with your breath. Hold it over to one side, back to center, over to the other. Hold it for a sec, back to center. Back to center. Alright, let your arms float down to your sides. Put the hands on front of your hips. And slowly let them slide down to just above your knees. Into forward fold.
Just hit a button, Marty. Give me a beat.
Alright, let them drift down your legs, hands to the floor. Walk them out in front. Get into high plank, core tight, glutes squeezed. Making sure to breathe. And go ahead, let your hips sink. Look up towards the sky. Feel that nice stretch in your hip flexors and your core. Then walk your hands back. Go ahead and hold that stretch for a minute. Making sure to breathe. Let your hands come up your legs. Bringing your torso up, vertebrae by vertebrae, hands overhead. Reach for the sky. Alright, bring one arm back behind your head, reaching back in between your shoulder blades, and gently with the other arm, pulling at the elbow. We want to make sure we're breathing, and every time we exhale, we just want to pull a little bit further. Alright, go ahead and switch arms. Reach between your shoulder blades. Gently pull with the opposite arm at the elbow. Making sure to breathe. Go ahead and release. Hands come together. Reach overhead. And hinge at the hip. Let your hands come just over top of your knees. Alright, slowly let your hands float down your legs, out in front of your feet, walk them out in front of you. Pressing into downward dog, feeling the stretch in our calves. And this is okay if you want to pedal your feet a little bit. And we're pressing the ground away with our hands. Go ahead and adjust, play around with your range of motion. It's good to work a muscle from many different angles. And we're going to go ahead and return to plank. core tight, glutes tight. Remembering to breathe. And we're going to let our hips stay in a straight line with our body. And we're going to look up towards the sky, letting the hips sink, and float back into downward dog. And we're going to flow back, look up at the sky, hips sink, and press back into downward dog, pushing the ground away from us. And hips sink, look at the sky, and just flow with your breath. And go ahead and lower down. Do a push-up if you feel like doing a push-up. It's okay to throw that in our flow. And walk your hands back. And go ahead and relax. Shake it out. Bring your arm in front of you. Other hand grabs at the elbow and pulls it into the chest. Feeling that nice stretch in your upper back and your rear delts. Remembering to breathe. Every time you breathe, you should pull your arm in a little bit closer. And go ahead and release. Bring your opposite arm up. Other hand comes to the elbow, gently pulls it into the chest. Remembering to breathe and pulling in a little bit further on every exhale. And go ahead and release. Bring your hands out in front of your hips and let them slide down your legs. Walk your hands out in front of you. Slowly. Keeping your core tight. Hands underneath the shoulders. Lower your hips and be in a straight line with your body. Remembering to breathe. And slowly lower yourself down. Let your chest touch the ground. Press up. And look towards the sky, letting your hips sink. Lower down. Do another push-up. Down and up. Hips sink. Look at the sky. Press back into downward dog. And if you can, go ahead and lower your elbows and let your chest flow through them into a chaturanga. Then look up towards the sky, press back into downward dog. Walking our hands back towards our feet. And we're coming up vertebrae by vertebrae. Hands over our heads. Let your hands drift down by your side. That was